That was actually a question for you. Was you've worked with a lot of writers. What's been the influence? Now that you're like a a name writer, it's been quite a.
Well, I'm not to kiss ass for you.
No, but it wasn't just me. I know there's other people that that you work with.
The first writer that ever caught my attention was Douglas Adams, and at the time, he wrote The Checker's Guide to the Galaxy and stuff. And at the time, what I loved about his stuff, I didn't know it was just funny. But what it kind of taught me was the juxtaposition of things. The reason why it was funny, and one of the things you learn that's best in writing is if you can find contrast people's characters, their environments, and how those things, you contrast against each other, like having U.S. agents on a Canadian superhero team. A lot of times, why is U.S. agent on there? Everything's freaking gold, man. He's your typical hot-headed, braggy American on the laid-back Canadian team. How better to show the differences between the two different countries and stuff?
That's like the heart of everything. It's contrast.
Absolutely.
So Captain America,
he wouldn't work so well in Omega Fight because he would have been like all cooperative and nice and like.
With Captain America?
Yeah,
he's
if he was alive.
Yeah. So they have a Captain America. We don't have a Captain America.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's interesting. All right. Anybody got one out there? Let's go right there to you. Yeah. Talk loud.
Okay, my name's John.
Hey, John.
For both of you, what was the point that you knew this was what you wanted to do in life? Because I mean, getting into this field of writing and illustrating or art, it's not easy to get into at all, and it takes a lot of work to get where you two have been. So was there like a moment where the ball just went off your head, like this is all I can do, this is all I really want to do?
Yeah, I remember it. It was for me. I was 16. I was putting together a scholarship submission. I knew I wanted to go to college. I was in high school and I didn't have enough money to pay for college, so I was trying to get a free ride there, trying to get a scholarship to college. And my art teacher had suggested that I put 10 different disciplines, 10 different kinds of media. So like the first 9, they were like, oil painting, sculpture, photography, watercolor, charcoal, all these different things that your art teacher will guide you to do. Then she said, for the final one, just do whatever you want. I'll leave that one to you. And so for that, I thought, well, I love stories, I love, sequential art, I love films, love books. I've read comics. I'll make a comic book for the final one because that'll be different. That'll probably stand out. And I just never done it before. And at the time, I'd always written stuff, and I'd always drawn stuff. But I was like, well, it was a great opportunity to really take it seriously and make something happen. And it was, once I started doing that, it was so amazing, like to wake up every day and be able to like have this excitement about like doing this next page that's continuing to the story and seeing the story kind of shape itself. And it was just this little story I was doing when I was 16. And it was like this sort of like crime cop story or something, but just the fun of it was where all these interests that I had, for me, I found that all of these different interests I was able to integrate into one medium. Like I think that was what it was for me. I love to do all these other kinds of art, love to write, love all these things. Comics, all of that was unified. Like with comics, you could do it. You can incorporate anything else in the world and anything you want to do.
It's the only book that has bird wings attached to the covers.
Yeah. So yeah, then I was like, wow, that's what I'm going to focus on doing. So then when I went into college, every class I would approach through the lens of what can I glean from this class that I can enrich my own work, which is my comic work. So that's just how so it made every class useful to me. Like any kind of class there was, I would think of. And I didn't go to a specialized art school. I went to a university where I take all these other kinds of things, which sort of opened my mind, opened my world to this stuff, and it kind of enriched my writing and my story and everything. And I would, as much as I could, I was focused on it. I would try to use, comics were my way to unify all these other classes and make it make sense to me. They were my way to find a practical application for the rest of the world in a way,
I was pretty lucky. I mean, I knew by 12 or 13 that I was going to be a comic book artist.
Well, how old were you when you were inking Daredevil?
Daredevil was like 19. I think it was like 18 or
14.
No, 14 was my first inking job, but it was like for an independent company called Innovation. And it was a Tim Truman book called Australia. And I was so young and stupid at the time, I didn't know I could follow up and just keep being an inker. I did the one job and I was like, oh, look, I'm on the show. So yeah, I was lucky. I knew from when I was that early of an age that that's what I wanted to do. So I don't remember the exact moment. I just remember.
But it's an amazing how young you broke in, though. I mean.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Wow, it is amazing.
I was drawing stuff I shouldn't have. Like my first books were like a lot of like porn comics.
Tell them some of the names.
Edward Scissorhands, Night of the Giving Head, a couple other ones. There was going to be a Star Wars with somebody.
So you were like 14 drawing porn comics?
I was good 17 years old. 16, 17.
And now you've graduated
And
to
now I've done
superhero masturbation.
I went, yeah.
From that to
Well, first it was Kevin Smith, and when I was doing Buttman and Chronic was the first time I had to like basically draw stuff that I hadn't drawn in years, and I was like, wow, I'm getting totally sucked back in. And then Powers just got progressively worse. I mean, we went.
See, here's the thing. I
had a
figured out.
double-page sex scene that I just drew in 25.
But I figured out 2 years into working on the book, you were going to draw those scenes whether I wrote them or not. So we just went into the plot. So that's how that works. All right. A lot of people wanted to know, David, how many times you personally kicked my ass physically.
Well, first of all, never.
Yes,
one time though,
I wanted that on tape.
when I was younger, I was a very rough and physical person, and with a lot of my friends, it was like Fight Club.
When I was younger.
My house was like Fight Club, and all my friends would beat each other up as part of our just friendliness.
Just a quick,
And I remember one
when I
time-
met you, you gave me a black eye the very first time we met.
That's true.
Yeah. we wrestled at that place, like in the backyard. We just decided to wrestle. And
Yeah.
he gave me in the face.
I met him in Philadelphia like a year before Brian came back, and we all met each other together. And the way I met him is he just walked up to my table and he gave me a drawing. He had drawn up one of my characters. I was like, you got a lot of jobs that way. And then we started talking. I was like, oh, this is really cool. We started talking, and then we immediately started wrestling.
Love at first sight. It's like, hey man, how you doing? All right, come on, let's.
So I had that kind of relationship with a lot of people, and then I realized pretty close on that Brian wasn't the kind of friend that I have. I remember exactly. We were on tour.
Yeah, I remember
It was
exactly.
somewhere between Las Vegas and LA. We were on a West Coast tour in like '96, and he was holding a bottle of orange juice. And I was just out of control, and for some reason I pushed him or something, and he fell on the ground, and his orange juice broke.
No, I didn't fall, but you punched my arm as hard as you could.
Okay, but what I remember was,
hey!
what I remember was, it was like Brian looked at me as if I had betrayed him. He looked at me as if like a dog you had nurtured from a puppy, who's your best friend, suddenly just turned around and bit you. He was like, why?
It was you grew up having Fight Club, and I went to a private boys Hebrew school. We were just raised differently.
And then I realized, oh my God, you're not really supposed to do that in adult life.
But it doesn't bring up, actually, you know what, it's funny. I think a lot of you guys might know this, but for the last couple of years to raise money for the Hero Initiative, Mike Oeming arm wrestles any comers, and it's quite a hoot, and it is a unique thing. The one person Mike refuses to arm wrestle publicly is David Mack. Because for a decade, any chance they have, they wrestle and break hotel walls, but he will not do this. I have convinced him at the end of this panel to arm wrestle David publicly.
But we need money for the
This has to get filled up with bucks. All right, so this is for the Hero Initiative. Which is a cause we love. I'm going to toss it down here. You're going to take it? Here.
Ladies and gentlemen,
God's going to take it. If you guys throw some bucks in there, it's all for charity. You get to see a show. And I'm telling you, Mike does not want to do this.
That's right. In Seattle,
this is not a
wrestled 47 people and lost 5 of the matches.
And if you don't,
that means David has the strength of at least 47 people.
and if you don't believe it, go to YouTube. You can see some amazing footage of Mike beating guys 5 times his size. Mandy Amato's here. He kicked her ass. It was unbelievable.